All right. Hey, Bettina. Hey, Heather. Let me know if you can hear me all right. Hello, Julia. Let me know that you can hear me. We're a few minutes early. I wanted to hop on here and make sure that we got a couple of things covered from yesterday. Yeah. So Bettina, thank you. You know what? I've been told I look way too serious, especially when I'm like doing public speaking, that I don't smile enough. Now, part of that is like my initial nerves. Like anytime I do something like this, I get nervous right at the beginning and it starts to like clear up once I get going and whatever. But like always at the beginning, I'm always nervous and I'm naturally kind of have a downturn to my mouth. So if I'm not thinking about smiling at first, I look very serious. So thank you for that reminder, Bettina. All right. You can totally watch later, Julia, of course, as always. Yep. Hey, Andrew. Hey, Johnny. Melanie. Sweet. Okay. People are jumping on here. So, before we get into today's topic, I want to talk about some of the awesome things that you guys did on your lives with your homework last night. Honestly, I was overwhelmed with your honesty, with you opening up about your real world things. I don't take it lightly that you're willing to share that with me in a group. I'm going to address a couple of them. If I don't talk about yours, it's not a slight. It's not like I, didn't watch it or pay attention. There's a couple of very key things that I think everybody should hear that wasn't talked about in our mindset training yesterday, because you just can't cover everything. But because they were brought up, I want to talk about them. Okay. So, good night, Bettina. Thank you for always being here at the beginning. We'll see you tomorrow. All right, let me just check out. Okay, so I've got some notes. Okay, first, Sarah talked about one of her limiting beliefs being this idea of perfectionism, having to get it perfect before you get it done, before you release it to the public, whatever that happens to be. This is the issue with perfectionism. Even if you got it perfect in your mind, you won't know if it's perfect until you get the reaction from the people that see it afterwards. You might think you have the best thing in the world and it's perfect, and your reaction is not what you get from your audience. So working to get something perfect will never happen. You have to just get it done and then improve upon it. Now, that doesn't mean just throw garbage. It doesn't. And I'm not even a fan of necessarily that idea of you've heard that expression, throw something against a wall and see what sticks. It sounds good in cliche, but like you can get it good enough and then move forward. My longtime mentor, Jason Fladlian, and I'll introduce him as the week goes along because he's helped me a lot, has this saying that says, it's easier to get it right than to start it right. And I don't know if I'm exactly quoting that, but basically, when you get something done, which is way faster than getting it right, it's way easier to correct it along the way. And the thing is we get too caught up in what other people think of us. That's why I introduced that book about, not giving a, because we think their judgment matters. We think we're going to screw something up so bad that we'll never recover from it. Well, I mean, that's just not the case. It's just not a reality. That's something that we tell ourselves. It sells a lot of products when people tell us we have to get it right. We don't. Okay. I'm going to teach a method on day 4 about getting traffic. What if you do it all wrong? You literally can start over and it will cost you nothing. And it doesn't ruin your reputation. It doesn't do anything. Yes, you lost some time. Big deal. I mean, at this point, we've all wasted so much time that, you know, time is, I'm not saying it's not valuable. Don't get me wrong about that. Time is very valuable, but you have to do things. Every entrepreneur fails. I mean, like, Amazon is massive. Everybody knows who Amazon is. Jeff Bezos still does projects that fail miserably over and over again. But that's why they're so successful, is because they're willing to go through those things that don't work. You know, nobody went, oh, you know what? That screw up that Amazon had back in 96. I don't even know if they were around then. No one cares because of who they are now. Okay. So perfectionism, it's not real. It literally is not real. And I am having to learn that one too. So I'm not trying to be the hypocrite. Like, I get it because I do the same thing. Second, Julia, loved your post, talked about 2 things. Her fear that she wasn't the one that was going to ever get it right. I'm not saying that right, but that who was she to be successful on her own? That is one of those things talked about in The Big Leap, how we get those things ingrained in us, and exactly for the reason she said, the way she was brought up, okay, was to believe a certain thing that hasn't transpired in her life the way she thought. And so there's a belief system there. Okay. I grew up in a very conservative household. My parents are very elderly for my relatively young age. And my dad's worked his whole life while my mom stayed home with the kids. She taught my sister how to cook and clean and do all that stuff. And the boys were taught a trade. So when I moved out on my own, my mother's expectation was I would get married, my wife would cook and clean and do those things, and I would have a job. I am 37 now and just got married just over 3 months ago and spent a good 17 years having to figure out things that I wasn't expected or taught at home. So that belief system kind of came along with me, including more ingrained things like being a failure. Not my parents' fault, not anyone's fault, just an attachment to a belief that somewhere I picked up along the way. An idea that inherently I was a fake, no matter how hard I tried, no matter what effort I gave. And that's one of those things that book, The Big Leap, is helping me with, to recognize that is a false belief system and I have to be aware of it. And that's what the whole goal of yesterday's mindset training is, getting us aware of the things that we allow to shape our lives that may not be real. Let's cover a concept really, really quickly that's way too deep for a 2-minute snippet. Your brain hands you thoughts, okay? Those thoughts may or may not have validity, but we take too much value in the fact our brain handed us this thought, okay? And we try and assign value to it when your brain's just handing you, pathways, and you get to choose whether to ignore it or accept it. And then that's how we shape more pathways. So the longer we've shaped a pathway of I'm a failure, I'm a fake, I'm a fraud, imposter syndrome. Andrew mentioned this in his video. His limiting belief is that he is an imposter, is a fake. And I get that. A lot of entrepreneurs deal with imposter syndrome. I heard this so recently, and it is so true. Imposters do not feel imposter syndrome. So if you feel it, you are not. That is incredibly powerful. That was told to me by a friend named Alex Charfin, who has literally changed my life. He has given me the power to cry in front of a room full of entrepreneurs because of how much he touched my heart without judgment in that space because of how accepting he and that room was. And that's what my entrepreneurial journey has led me on, is to be able to be part of those scenarios. I was allowed to introduce him on stage for my mentor, Jason Fladley, and who was supposed to be introducing Alex in front of 3,000 people because of the connection Jason introduced me to Alex, and the connection Alex and I have had, where I got to spend time in his home because of that. That's what your entrepreneurial journey can bring you, and it can bring people like that into your life who remind me I'm not an imposter. If you want to look him up, Alex Charfen, Charfen. If you are an entrepreneur at heart, he is your guy. He loves entrepreneurs through and through, and he has been through the ringer in his life to come out the other side, and he has no other motive in his life except to help entrepreneurs win. Okay. One more comment. Johnny. He said it. I'm not going to make 5K by the end of the week. I hope the challenge title wasn't misleading, because I don't think that most of you are going to make $5,000 more by the end of this week than what you started with. But he said it best when he said, we're laying the foundation. I want in 5 days only to lay such a strong foundation for you that whether it's 5K a month or 5K a week or 5K a day, you're able to do it from what we learn in 5 days only. That's the power that I think we have in this challenge. I have no plans to run this again afterwards, but you never know. This time we've got, 65 people in the group or so, only 20% of that live or whatever. But maybe next time we have 100. Maybe next time after that we have 300. Maybe we have 1,000, and we're changing that many people's lives in only 5 days. I don't know. But anyways, that's all the things I wanted to cover from yesterday. We're going to officially start about today. So I'm going to give a little pause just in case I decide to cut this and use it for training later. So let's give it 10 seconds and we'll start. All right, welcome to this day 2 of our 5 days to 5K challenge. We're going to talk about tribe, keeping with our acronym. Yesterday was mindset. Today is tribe. And really what we're talking about is what is often described as your who, the people that you resonate with and will connect with in your business, that you will make a difference to. We're going to dive into how we can connect with them, how we can identify them, the ways that are already present in our life to identify them. So let's ask a very important question. Why would we follow our mindset day with our tribe or our who? Why wouldn't we be getting into the products that we need to sell, or the tactics, or how we get traffic and things like that? Why are we building on the story of yesterday about mindset with our tribe? Okay. Well, think about some of the things that I told you about my life personally. I felt like I've been an entrepreneur my whole life. I have an autoimmune condition. That's part of my life. I have sold a lot of physical products on Amazon. I've coached people on Amazon. I have failed miserably. I've gone bankrupt. I have learned mindset, OCD training. I've been a teacher. I've been a door-to-door salesman. All of those things, my experience in life is what can lead to finding out my who. Okay. So we start with your mindset, because a lot of your mindset is what your experiences in life are, what you've gone through. And the people that you connect to most are the type of people that you have interacted with and experienced with. And most of us at a certain point in life start to realize who we connect with and who don't. So looking back on your experiences of life that have caused your mindset can very easily transition into who your who is, who your tribe is. Okay. So for myself, maybe my who, and I'm talking about the people that we're going to work with, the people that we're going to help, the people that we are going to sell things to. Okay. There's a bad connotation about that, but if you are selling something that improves their lives and this is something we gotta understand about the way selling works. If somebody's willing to part with their money for a product, they think that product is worth at least, if not more, than what the cost is. So if you are teaching them, you're some type of coach, or you have some type of health product or something, or whatever it is, they feel that the value that they're giving you monetarily is less than what you're actually giving them. So the more you provide, the more value it would be monetarily. And that's okay, because you always want to provide so much value that they feel like they're getting the better end of the deal no matter what. That should be the way it is. The last thing you want is for them to spend the money and feel like they got ripped off, because we should never transact that way. That's a way to never getting anybody to come back to us and buy from us again. So let's talk about how your experience can shape your who. Okay. So first, let's start with two concepts. What do you already know? And who do you love? Okay. Now let's start with first what you know. Okay. All of you bring something different to the table. We have people that are from all over the world. We have people from all types of different jobs. We have people in different industries. We have people with different experiences as far as how long they've been doing something online. The things we haven't talked about that have happened, that haven't been part of the discussion, like a health issue or maybe something traumatic. All of those things connect you with a group of people that have a somewhat similar experience. So this is how you can start with something you already know. Now, if you're getting a little stuck right here in your thought process because you're feeling, well, I already have a product to sell, I'm already part of like a network marketing company or something, that's okay, because we're going to still work on how your who fits into that a little later. But if you don't have a what yet, if you don't have something specific to sell, then let's start with the who. Because when we transition into that idea of who do you love, it becomes easier to know what to sell to them. And that's why what to sell, our offer, comes tomorrow instead of before who. Because you can put the product first, but then you have to decide who the who is around it. And that might not be you, or might not be the people you resonate with. And it's okay if you're there, we're going to work on that. But if you don't have it yet, or if you want to see how it fits, let's look at our who first. So who do you love? I said this yesterday. I love entrepreneurs. I felt like I've been one my whole life. And I know a lot of them that I interact with feel the same way. Even if they haven't had any success yet, they feel it. I love them. I want them to succeed. We have better conversation than how is the weather and small talk. And, you know, there are people in my life that have no entrepreneurial aspirations whatsoever. And so we have to connect on a different level because that is just not part of our friendship. My, last roommate has worked for the same job for 15 years and has no inkling whatsoever to do anything else. And that is fine because that is what he wants out of life. He makes decent money. He pretty much gets to set his schedule. And as soon as he clocks out, he doesn't think about work for a second. That's great for him. That's not me. So I don't connect with him on the entrepreneurial level. And that's okay because it's a different type of friendship. But if you're going to be working with people, you want to connect to them. You want to be able to have that rapport with them. So who do you already love? Okay. If you're a fitness coach, do you love the people that are struggling? Do you love the people that are already on their journey? Do you love the people that are deep into their journey and need that, they've got something heavy they're going after and you want to be that person? Who are you naturally drawn to? Okay. These are just questions that you can start mulling over, and you might not have an answer right now. Even when you go through the homework right tonight, you might not immediately have an answer, and that's okay, because this is something you can continually work on. I've had to continually work on it as my business has evolved, because I realize my skill set helps some people better than others, and I'm drawn more to those, and I've been able to define my who more and more. Is this resonating with you? Is this starting to make sense? If you have questions, put them in the chat. I am starting to get capable to watch that and follow along, and I want this to be interactive. I don't want you to just listen to me ramble for an hour again today, if possible. But anyways, we're going to keep going on. Put your questions in if you've got them. Okay. So starting out, okay. Now, there are people in this group that have no business. There are people that have a lot of business, okay? So you got to find where you fall in this. But if you are relatively starting out, you might think you want to be everything to everyone, okay? You'll take any client, you'll take any person, and it's hard to resist that because that hunger to get started at the beginning can be very strong, and you feel like you want to help everyone. Jason mentioned this in his video. He wants to help the world. Okay. That's great. But the reality is none of us can help the whole world. We can only help the world that we can reach and that resonates with us, so we can truly help them. And that's not a bad goal on his part, but we're going to define it and get deeper into it. So when we start looking at who should be our who, there's a term called minimum viable market. Okay. This is how small of a niche can you create that you are the leader in that niche. Okay. So let me give you an example. All right. And just gut feeling, tell me which one of these two people do you think would get a better response? Okay. Let's take a real estate agent. They sell homes for a living. And their ad comes on Facebook and says, "Hi, my name's so-and-so. I will travel anywhere, in 100 miles. I will work with anyone, any price range, anything. I'm your anything real estate agent." Versus the agent that comes on and says, "Hi, my name's so-and-so. I work specifically with people who are ready to retire, want to downsize from their current home, and are in need of a VA loan because of their vet status." Okay. Now, this second agent has very narrowed the pool of who he's talking to, but he has now defined himself that the people that fit into that category, they're retiring, want to downsize, they're a veteran, they will automatically resonate with him because that is exactly who's speaking to them. He has defined his who. Do you get what I'm talking about here? How when you stand up and say you stand for something, then the people that are going to resonate with you already will start resonating because you're saying, hey, I'm your guy. That person that's willing to define themselves like that, especially at the beginning, will have more success because when somebody says, I can do everything, nobody believes it. But when you say, I've got this option here that fits you perfectly, okay? So I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself, but remember, this is what we call the minimum viable market, okay? So let's take that example. If you decide to be, the real estate agent that works only with people retiring who want to downsize, and you live in a community that is all, college age kids and middle-aged families, and there's not a retirement community, then maybe there's not enough people to actually bring you enough business. So that's why it's called minimum. You have to decide how far to niche down. Okay. Take, for example, internet marketing. Okay. You could sell to anybody, but there's a lot of people that do a lot of different things online. Maybe they create websites, maybe they do search engine optimization, maybe they do copywriting, maybe they do affiliate marketing. So you need to focus on who's that. And then if you take somebody that is in, let's say, the affiliate marketing space, what is their need? Are they brand new to affiliate marketing? Have they been doing it a long time? Are they struggling with building an email list? Are they struggling with driving traffic? The more you can niche down, the better you can communicate with that group. Okay. Now, I've heard the saying before, carve your niche so small that no one else can be the leader, that you are automatically that person. Now, that's something you have to toy with where you're at already in your business. But if I stood up and said, hey, I am the greatest affiliate marketer in the world, and I can help everybody who wants to affiliate market, versus I can teach brand new people who've never made a dollar online how to get started within 4 weeks and no investment to make their first $100. That speaks to a very specific crowd who will resonate with me more. Now, I'm not saying that is my who. I'm saying that is a specific example of how to niche down into it. You can even be more specific, saying, I am I teach how to do all of that through YouTube or through Instagram or whatever, so that you get closer and closer to the thought that's already going through their head. If you can tell them, I'm the person who you're already looking for, you've already won. Okay. Now, let me tell you about something that's interesting with this challenge, and I hope you can see this. I am doing this all wrong. We have people from all over the world, under all sorts of circumstances, in all types of financial circumstances, doing network marketing, doing fitness coaching, doing affiliate marketing, doing product, physical products. That isn't niche down at all. But that's because my goal with this wasn't to sell something to a niched down group. I told you part of my why is to help entrepreneurs, to help them do what they need to see. And so all of those people can learn from me, but that doesn't mean I'll resonate with all of you. I mean, the fact is, there are 8 people live right now out of the 60 that are on. Now, a lot of them have time restraints. It is during the middle of the day. It's also during the middle of the night. But some people have already decided that they don't resonate with me. They signed up for the challenge and it's not for them. And that's okay, because I don't have to resonate with everyone. But those that do resonate with me, that are following, that this message is what they need to hear, then I'm glad that I'm providing it. So let's say I was going to run a challenge again next week, but I wanted to be way more specific. I would get down to who exactly has the needs to hear the message that I'm about to hear and get very specific. So when I speak to them, I'm not speaking to fitness professionals and affiliate marketers and network marketers and real estate agents. I'm talking to a very select group, and that's how you win. Okay. So I don't mind admitting that, though, that this challenge is kind of an example of what not to do, because the reality is I don't care. You shouldn't try and be all things to everyone. But that wasn't my purpose. And that's one of the things that we'll learn more and more is going back to our mindset. Your purpose helps you determine also who is your who. So I need to pull up a worksheet really quickly. And we're going to just start talking about some of these ideas of who could be your who. All right. Because right now you either have no idea what your business is going to be, or you have some idea what your business is going to be, or you're already deep into it and can start to define this. So let's say you already have a business and already have a product, and you're trying to decide who your who is around it. Well, the thing about that is you can still niche into that. So let's say you're part of a network marketing company. A lot of network marketing companies tell you just to go after your friends and your family, but that's not really your target audience. You want people that your product is going to provide the solution to them. And you want to find your niche inside that. So let's say you sell a health product that, does whatever. I don't know. Let's say you're a, middle-aged, male or female, you have kids, and you deal with a certain struggle with your own health. Well, that could start to form your who, because you know what they deal with, what it's like to have the schedule, to have health problems, to have kids, and you would automatically resonate with them. So our first question is, who could be your who? Instead of saying, oh, everyone, who could you specifically talk to in the voice that they already know when you speak, that you understand them because you are there, because you are them, because you've been there, or because you're just at the level where they think that they're ready to get to. That's the thing, is it's very hard to learn from somebody who is so far beyond us that we can't see ourselves ever getting there. It's better to learn from someone that's only a step or two ahead of us and has just been through it. So that's why a lot of times, you might think, oh, how am I supposed to teach something when I'm brand new? Well, if you just started 2 weeks ago, there's somebody who just started yesterday, and your 2 weeks of experience is more than they've got. And they don't want to listen to the person that's been doing it for 1,800 years and knows every little in and out, because they're not ready for that. So first, who could be your who? Who do you connect with more? Who should be your who? Okay. Where are they paying attention to? What platforms do they, are they on? Are they more on Facebook or on Instagram? Are they on YouTube? What do they do? Okay. More specifically, what problems are they facing? Are they, life and death matters? Are they lesser? Here's a question for you. What does your who want to avoid at all costs? If nothing else mattered, what is the one thing that they absolutely do not want to experience? What do they care about? What do they love? What are their desires? What do they hate? Where do they spend their money? What do they spend their money on? What's some of their core beliefs? Okay. What are their blind spots? Where are they stuck? What are they being lied to about? Let's say you are a health coach. What misnomers do you know are out there in your industry that they're being told that is letting them down over and over and over again? How can you help them with that? Okay. We might think of that, it's easy in the health, but like I see misinformation in the online marketing industry all the time. And I see it by people just, basically spamming stuff with no interaction with other people. And the reality is that's not sustainable, and it's not going to grow a business right, but they're being told to do it, or they don't even realize they're not supposed to. So is your who even aware of the problem? Can you bring light? Can you shine a light on that problem so that you can help them? Do you love them? What makes it hard? Okay. Sometimes it's hard for me to love entrepreneurs because they say they want it, but they make all the excuses in the world. And because I'm very, very aware of mentality and mindset and the victim mentality, and it's always somebody else's fault, it's very hard for me to not get frustrated with them. And then it's up to me to remember that they're not in that place yet, and to work with them if I can to help them, come to that realization on their own, because you can't force feed people. It doesn't work and it doesn't last. Okay. But so for instance, and I digress if I told this story yesterday, but somebody that reached out to me and they got very upset by the way I responded. And I think I did tell this. It frustrated me because he automatically reacted that I was not of value because of the way I run my business. I just had to let him go in peace and, let him keep on his journey, because we weren't ready to resonate together. And that's okay. That's the thing, is you're going to have to recognize that sometimes you are not going. It's better to not connect with everyone, because if you're connecting with everyone, it means your message is too soft. You have to stand for something, especially as an entrepreneur. Now, I'm not saying going way off the deep end and standing for some things that are going to absolutely polarize people. That's not helpful. But trying to be the answer for everyone means your message gets diluted. And then even the people that would have resonated with you will start looking for answers elsewhere. Okay. What victories do they want? What victories can you take them to? What feelings do you want to produce in them? How can you keep them moving forward? Are they even aware that there's solutions to what they're going through? These types of questions can start to identify your who. Let me get back to this. Hey, Johnny, glad you joined. Now, let me tell you a couple of things that maybe this is where I make my stand, okay? I told you just a few minutes ago, I had no intention starting this challenge to sell anything. I still don't have anything for sale. That might change. I had somebody reach out to me last night and ask about one-on-one coaching, and I wasn't planning on doing that after this. Maybe I will, maybe I'll do something group, but I wasn't planning on it, okay? Now, some would tell you, like, with all their might, that that's bad business. You should always have an offer. They use the acronym ABC, always be closing, always be selling. That's not me. That's not my personality. And the reality is that's because my why is probably different from theirs. You don't have to listen to everyone's opinion. You don't have to make everybody happy. I just got this email today, and I'm so glad it showed up. Okay. This was directly from my mentor, Jason Fladlian, with the title of the email, Prepare to be criticized. And man, that is just so true, because the reality is once you put yourself out there in the public, you're going to get criticized. you're going to get criticized for what you wear or the way you say something or the way you speak or the tiniest little mistake, and people will write you off all of your ideas and all your value because of one little thing that you missaid. So what? It's part of that mindset. Okay, don't worry about it. Move on to the next. That's the thing, is there's not a shortage of people in the world that need your help and want your help and will resonate with you. And Andrew said it today. He used the word lack. And man, as entrepreneurs, that is something most of us deal with. It's a mindset of lack of money, lack of time, lack of interest, lack of ability, lack of skill, lack of people that will be interested in our message. And the reality is all of us have people out there that already need what we are offering. We just haven't got in front of them yet. And we're going to talk about this week about how to get in front of them. And that happens when you post something that is of value to provide, and someone doesn't even need to interact with you to buy it because you've already answered their solution or what they needed with a solution because they were already looking for the answer to that question. So don't feel like, if you're going to study anything, study about how to get out of lack, because when we slip into it, the world goes doom and gloom for most entrepreneurs. And I'm so glad that Andrew brought that up in his live, because it is something so many of us live in. We look at what we don't have instead of what we do have. And the reality is there are already people out there who need to hear your story. And I'm going to tell you why I know this, okay? I'm going to get into what is called the perfect client, okay? And this is an exercise, and I will give you the blank sheet. I'll post it in the unit once we're done. So don't worry, you will get this. But I'm just going to go through. I filled this out years ago for something very specific, but I want to see you to see the power it has. Okay. Your perfect client exercise. Now it starts with demographics, age, whether they're male or female, that may or not matter in your who, single, married, divorced. But this is about building your perfect client. Now, don't get this confused with if someone doesn't meet this exact criteria, you can't work with them. But you need to start focusing on who is that type of person, and this will help you get to it. Okay. So now I started this when I was going to start my Amazon coaching. Okay. My Amazon journey started with buying a $4,000 course and buying thousands of dollars worth of inventory and literally having about $10,000 go out before I ever saw my first sale. That isn't reasonable for a lot of people. And I felt drawn to helping people that wanted to sell on Amazon that didn't have the opportunity because of their financial situation for that. So I started filling this out, and I'll tell you the results when we get done with this. Okay. So the first question, what issue does your perfect customer have? And you'll answer this for your who. Okay. Mine was that they didn't have the confidence to drop $4,000 on a course and another $4,000 on inventory and then $2,000 for things like packaging and shipping and all this stuff. Okay. They didn't have that type of money. But then it goes deeper. What do they really want? And I answered that. What they really wanted was freedom. They want to tell their boss to shove off. They don't want to build someone else's dream. That's what's more important than just making a little bit of extra money. Why are they not getting what they really want? Well, the reality is I saw them being sold what we call shiny objects online that weren't helping them. They sounded good, but they were never going to actually help them build a sustainable business. Now, I wanted to be interested in their success. Other people were so often just selling stuff to pad their own pocket. They didn't care whether people followed through or not. Okay. So now I'm going to digress for a bit, but like I spend a lot of my time talking with people that want to be entrepreneurs that are from countries where there's no opportunity that they'll ever be able to work with me on a level where they're going to be able to buy $1,000 product or 2,000 or probably even $100. But why do I do that? Well, because I love them, because they want to be entrepreneurs. Just because they're not in a situation where it makes it easy doesn't mean that their desires any less. So I want to help them. So that's these people that I saw, that had some ability to start, and they saw other people, but they just didn't have the financial means to get started. Okay. So the next question, what would need to happen for them to make the decision to finally get what they're really looking for? Well, they needed to connect with somebody that could truly help them get them started, give them the confidence to pull the trigger. They'd been burned over and over again. So they needed somebody that they could trust was going to help them do it. What would help? What value could I provide that would solve that problem? A step-by-step process that wouldn't cost them thousands of dollars. And I'm just giving you the cliff notes so you kind of can listen to this when you go over your own to decide how you can help people. What's the solution you're providing? A laid out plan that doesn't cost them $5,000. Then it says, list out everything you're good at. Okay. I knew a ton about Amazon. In fact, to this day, I still get hired by people to do, evaluations of their listing and their products and stuff like that, and point out holes and things and rewrite their listing and all that stuff because I'm very good at it. Okay. Then the next one says, okay, you've listed what you're good at, but now I mean everything. Brag about it. Tell me what fantastic things people are going to say about how you've helped them. My opening word says they will feel like the world has opened up to them. That's how I want them to feel. They would see an opportunity everywhere. They'll know how to speak about what they do and what they really want. They'll come back to me and tell me that they prayed for the day they'd meet someone like me who was willing to take the time to really teach them and give them what they needed. No one has paid attention to them, but I was willing to hold their hand and make them truly successful. I also helped them to get the right mindset and made sure they kept their life under control, because money doesn't matter if your life is a mess. I wrote this about 4 years ago, and I keep working on the mindset stuff. Okay. They have someone who isn't going to let them make excuses, but will hold them accountable. I do it for myself. I'll do it for them. They have someone who actually cares that they're successful and wants to celebrate in their success and help them get there. That was me. Okay. How am I unique? I won't make them rich overnight, but I will steadily make them more wealthy. I'm not all about money. I know the heart and health side of the business. That's so important. I know about mindset, meditation, gratitude, and what it's like to overcome obstacles in life and keep going. Okay. Summarize your perfect customer and what happens. They see me and they see someone who's just like them, who isn't driving big fancy cars, but is just doing this day in and out. They see that I'm willing to offer them for 1/10 of the price that everybody else is trying to pull out of their pockets, because I can actually help them. They know they won't make 10 million, but they see a clear path to make 5,000. And that seems like a dream come true right now. That was how I started. My very first time I sold my course, 9 people paid me $400. So 3,600, is that right? Yeah, 3,600 to teach them how to sell on Amazon. My very, very first student, within 3 months, was paying his rent from my training. I mean, from $100, I taught how to get started for only $100 in inventory, and that's totally off the market. Now, keep in mind, I don't teach that training anymore because I don't think it's as valuable. I don't think it's as viable. And I think it's a disservice to sell that training to people now because of how the Amazon market has changed in 2020. I can't sell that training and be comfortable with it because it's not viable anymore. But you see how narrowing down who my who was? I wasn't going after the masses. I was going after a very specific people who resonated with me. And that's why they were willing to spend $400 when they had just met me, because I was already providing the exact answer to a problem that they were looking for the solution. Okay. So now let me go back to something that Jason talked about in his video today. He is a fitness coach. He's into Muay Thai, and he talked about one of his limiting beliefs is that he doesn't have the big physique that a lot of other fitness coaches have. Let me talk about how anytime we look at something as our perceived disadvantage is really our advantage when we're resonating with our who, when we've defined our who, okay? He feels like he isn't going to have the success because he doesn't look like these other fitness coaches. Well, let me tell you from a very personal place, I've worked out for years, and look at me, I'm tiny. I don't want to train with some big dude that's all muscle and, you know, looks like he spends 3 hours a day in the gym and, you know, only eats raw meat. Like I don't want that. I resonate more with someone like Jason. So him leaning into that, leaning into this is who I am. This is the strength. I mean, I bet in actual reality, Jason is stronger. Maybe not in the amount of weight that he lifts, so to speak, but I bet as a, you know, Muay Thai background, he actually is in better shape and is physically capable of living a healthier and better lifestyle than the people that look big and whatever. I almost guarantee it. I would want to learn from someone like that, as opposed to the dude that's walking around that's, you know, looks like he can't fit in his, you know, shirt anymore. Jason can lean into that. He can be that person for that who that wants that. Andrew talked about in his that he feels like his limiting belief is he's too old. He wants to get into this online marketing, but he feels like it's a young man's game. You know who's out there waiting to hear your message, Andrew? The people that feel exactly like you, that feel, how am I going to do this? Because if that's a thought going through your head, you're not the only person. I guarantee you, you're not the only person in your age bracket that's going, man, there's no way I'm going to be able to learn this like these young guys or be as successful. So what you do is you go out and you create some success and show them that you can do it, that they can do it because you've done it. There's so much power in showing people that you are just like them, or you're just like them 6 months ago, and you've now got there. Okay. The people that resonated with me as an Amazon coach wasn't because I'd made $20 million and I owned a warehouse and everything. I was a dude sitting in my apartment at first, and then I literally rented a garage for me and my employee to, you know, house some stuff, and I could show them that, but also I barely had to work to keep it going. That's what they wanted. They didn't want a guru. So when you look at your weakness, that's what makes you unique, and your unique story is more important to resonate with the people that are your who than you could ever imagine. Every single thing. Okay, so look at our challenge. I was in a challenge last week, or no, maybe a couple weeks ago, that had 5,000 people in it. 5,000. There's, what I say, 65 in this. I could look at this and go, I'm a total failure. What am I doing? There's 65 people in my challenge versus 5,000 in that other guy's challenge. What am I doing? You know what advantage that gives me? as far as I know, I've been able to reply to every video you've posted. I've been able to interact with each of you personally on some level. And speaking of, if I haven't, send me a friend request. I mean, if we're not already friends on Facebook, like connect with me. That person that had 5,000 people, I mean, he couldn't connect with anybody. Like, he had to do everything right through here because he didn't have time to respond to messages. He didn't have time to respond to live videos. My supposed weakness in being small is my strength because I get to connect with people more one-on-one. And when you start to shift that mindset, knowing who your who is and resonating with it, okay? So let's take my situation, okay? So you can see how I can apply it specifically when I look at something as a weakness, okay? I have an autoimmune condition. I'm not an expert. I haven't gone to school. I haven't anything. But if I wanted to teach about it, the background I come from is when I moved out, I didn't know how to cook. I told you that earlier. I didn't know how to cook at all. My whole bachelor life, I ate out. I barely knew how to cook anything. And when I found out about my autoimmune condition, I had to learn how to cook. I had to learn how to cook easy and fast, and I didn't even enjoy it. So it was only for purpose. Well, I guarantee you there's other guys out there that are struggling with their health because of the same autoimmune condition that I have, that don't know what they're doing still. And if I put together a product that showed them exactly what to buy at the grocery store, exactly how to cook it, and how to meal prep so that they only have to do it once or twice a week and then can forget about it, I would resonate with them immediately because I'm not some doctor. I'm not some big health coach. I'm someone who's just gone through it myself and I get them. That is how you can resonate with your who, by just recognizing you probably already are them in some respect. Okay? Never feel like it's a bad thing to repel the wrong audience, because all that does is attract those who really should be your who. Okay? That email that I talked about getting some rejection, that's something we're going to focus on in the next couple of days, about how you want to stand for something, even in what you're offering, okay? Not to be the solution to everything. So now let's get into our homework. We're almost at an hour because I want to give you some examples of what my answers are to this, so that you can understand, because my answers are going to be very different from yours because we're in different places. We have different experiences. Okay. So you'll get this. I'll post this also as soon as we're done in the unit number 3 under tribe. Okay. Day 2 tribe. Who is your who? Okay. Now, first we just start off with who our who could be. Okay. I listed all those things that I've dealt with in my life, and you've got plenty of them too. Okay. My who could be any online entrepreneur that wants to grow their business. That's who it could be, because I love entrepreneurs. I work online myself. I have a lot of advice to give. But the reality is that's not enough. My who should be the entrepreneur that's already committed, but they've only failed, not because of a lack of trying, not because they're not committed, but because the programs and mentorship that they have paid for has failed them, has been garbage, and they just need an honest roadmap. The thing is, you're never going to be able to do the work for someone. Even a done for you solution where you set the whole thing up, they still are going to have to do something. There is no, except for putting your money into an investment and letting it sit and hoping it goes up, you have to do work as an entrepreneur to make money. And a lot of times the programs out there, we do all have, there's plenty of products that are out there that are inexpensive, that have some value, but you're not going to get a business in a box, no matter how many people sell you that idea for $17. You're not going to get it. Because if it was so valuable and they could make so much money just doing exactly what it is and they handed it to you, they're not going to hand it to you for $17. It's just not the case. Okay. So there are things out there, softwares, tools, and whatever that are inexpensive. I'm not saying everything's expensive. I'm just saying, let's be realistic. Okay. So you get what you pay for. That's why mentorship. Okay. My mentor, when someone wants to one-on-one work with him in a consultation about their business, he charges $3,125 per hour. That's $25,000 a day. Okay. Because in that 1 hour, he knows how to take their business that might have been making $10,000 a month, $20,000 a month, and turn it into $1 million business because he's so good at it and he's been doing it for so long. I don't charge that, okay? Because I haven't been doing this long enough to have all of those solutions. And that's okay, because I'm not trying to resonate with the person that wants to make $100 million a year. I'm not. I resonate better with the entrepreneur that struggled, that wants to, get out of their job or get their spouse out of their job, or they just want to be able to work for themselves so that when they want to go on a vacation, they can without having to ask for the time off. They're more concerned with their time freedom. That's who my who is. And I want to help them with steps instead of some magic bullet that doesn't exist. I understand and love my who because I am them and I was them. Okay. I have now more success and experience than they do for the most part. And I know what it's like to try and try and try and always feel like I'm coming up short and feel like every person that is having success is lying to me, feeling like I'm never going to get there. I know what that's like. And I love and care about those people because I know how defeating it can be, but I also know what it feels like to get on the other side. When I signed up for that $4,000 Amazon course, I told you I worked my tail off. I was working 14 hours a day at FedEx during the Christmas rush, going home and cramming for my business for 2 hours a night and trying to get a little bit of sleep, doing it day after day after day. Probably not healthy. I learned that now. I went to work one day after putting in all this time and effort, and I worked my long day, and I went home and I opened up my Amazon account and I had my first 2 sales. I made my first money on Amazon without being there. I mean, that feeling, I'll never forget what it was like to go home and flip on my computer, just after another long day, and there was money sitting there that had happened when I wasn't around. That 2 sales grew into a dozen the first week, and 10,000 a month within the first 3 months, and up to 50,000 a month within 9 months, where I was able to quit my job at FedEx. I made over $318,000 in sales that very first year. And it was just snowballing. I know what that's like to feel that growth. I've also known what it's like to completely lose it all. And the lessons that I've learned that I hope I can help others to avoid. That's how you get me as real and honest, and why I resonate with the people that feel like they're going through the same thing too. That's why I love them. At the end of the day, my who wants to be a successful entrepreneur on their terms, because they've always been an entrepreneur in their hearts, and they want to have a life that they know a job can't provide. Even if they make enough money, they don't have enough time. They don't have enough freedom. They always have to ask off from the boss. That is something that an entrepreneur, I used to wake up with panic attacks about dreams that I had of going back and having to work at my previous jobs, because it is not in my heart to clock in and clock out and let somebody else tell me what 2 weeks of the year that I am allowed to come and go and live my life. I can't live that way. I would rather struggle as an entrepreneur, which I'm glad I don't have to anymore, but I will always be willing to struggle as an entrepreneur. And that's not saying that if you have a job, or that if you have to stick with it a while, or if you love your job, that there's anything wrong. Because it took me years. I mean, I started marketing and doing online stuff back in 2009. I didn't leave until 2015. It took me a long time, but I always had that desire. I had that drive to be there. One major blind spot or problem that holds my who back is they don't know how to separate the lies and claims from what's true, honest, hard work that it takes to be successful. And it's not their fault, because marketing is taught to sell them shiny objects and to get them emotionally involved, and we buy on emotion. That's not our fault. It's just the way we're wired. And so helping them to realize what's real and what's not, having valuable programs that are legitimate, that they can follow step by step, and takes their, the luck out of it. I mean, some people always tend to get more lucky than others. It just seems like. But we want to have solutions that don't rely totally on luck. Now, yes, sometimes luck means it's more successful. Luck should never be the factor of whether it could be successful or not. Those are the types of solutions we want to provide for people. I can make a difference for my who by being authentically myself and honest with them about what they need to do next, hold them accountable, and celebrate their wins with them. So many of us don't celebrate even our small wins because we only look at the big things we see other people doing, and we don't see their struggle. We don't see the heartache and the difficulties. So we think, oh man, they've got this. But everybody's gone through struggles. Everybody's had things not go their way. And if they haven't yet, it's coming. Okay, we all do it. And every time you level up as an entrepreneur, you'll have new hurdles and you'll overcome them. Celebrate those wins. Having all of you here, okay, we're going to talk about traffic. Most of you are here because we're Facebook friends in this challenge. I didn't run ads to this. I just wanted to see who would be interested. This was a win for me. Getting on camera for an hour live, all of my training that I've done in the past, I've pre-recorded it because I was afraid in the moment that I couldn't teach live, that I couldn't resonate with people live. I had to get every single word right. I don't have a script. I have some notes so I don't, totally just go off script, so I can remember the things I want to cover with you, but I don't have something I'm reading. This is a win for me. So I'm going to celebrate it. Watching you guys post your videos, celebrate that. I'm celebrating it because you are taking action, and I'm proud of you for that. One more thing about resonating with people, that it's okay to be who you are. Okay. I'm going to point out something really quickly. All right. If you can see this, okay, this is a Doctor Who reference. If I turn my camera, there's a Doctor Who blanket, there's a Doctor Who pillow, whether you know who that is or not. It's more mainstream than it used to be. So, it's not totally ridiculous that I'm into it. I also love Star Wars. I play, in a Star Wars RPG where we make up characters and we, make up pretend scenarios and have missions and stuff like that. Man, back in the days of Dungeons and Dragons and whatever, this was considered so nerdy. Okay, now it's kind of getting more mainstream, but I enjoy it. I have a lot of fun with it. And, if you saw my post today, I did the Warrior Dash in a Batman outfit. My friends dressed up like other superheroes and other characters. That's me. That's who I'm going to be. When I went to my first Amazon conference, I wore a shirt and tie and bought new pants and shoes because I thought I needed to be somebody at that conference. So people would listen to me and people would, you know, respect me and whatever. When I got up on stage to introduce Alex, like I told you about earlier, I was wearing shorts and a t-shirt because that's who I am. And it was years later when I recognized I didn't have to be someone I'm not to be successful. And you don't have to be either, because your who will resonate with exactly who you are. And believe me, it's way more fun and it's way more enjoyable to just be yourself. It's so much work to try and put on a persona of something you're not. If I had to try to pretend to live a lifestyle where I lived in a mansion and drove a Lamborghini, I'd have to be going and like renting them to take pictures of. And that is garbage. And that is stuff actual marketers do because they think they have to do that. And I don't want you to ever have to think you have to put that on. You can just be yourself because there's already somebody out there who wants to connect with you. All right. So again, get your homework done. We've already seen people interacting and the breakthroughs that they're having in one day. And this is day 2. And we are going to crush it this week. So get your homework done. I know this one's a little bit more difficult. Okay. So if you struggle with who is your who, just start with that first question that's on the homework of who could it be? What are some of the things that resonate with you that you're probably sure there's other people it resonates with and they need to hear whatever your solution is? And if you already have a product that you sell, who do you resonate with in that group that you sell to? Okay. Do you resonate because of their age? Do you resonate because of their health situation? Do you resonate because of their financial situation? Do you resonate because of where you live? All of those things can come into play with your who. Okay, I live in a town of like 100,000 people. I could, do training that's focused on only helping people that live in my town because we'd resonate on the things that we love about our town. I love my town. I moved back here because I wanted to live here. I have the ability to go live in exotic places. I don't want to. I want to live here. I like to travel to those places, but I want to live here. I resonate with this town because it's who I am. And I don't have to be anything that I'm not. So get your homework done. Continue to interact. This is such a blessing. I'm so glad. Tomorrow, we're going to do a little bit different because we have a guest, and I'm excited for you to meet her. She has a long time entrepreneurial journey and it's very unique. And she's going to bring some perspective to the table that I can't wait for you to learn, because you've got a business and we've talked about mindset and who's your who, but I know at the end of this, you want to see how this can make you more money, and that's fine. Let's erase the idea that making money is bad. Now, because we don't take advantage of people, we don't lie to them, we don't try and slip things under. We're upfront, we're honest, we sell them good products, we help people. And that's how you help yourself. That's how you can win monetarily, is by truly helping people, by providing a solution that they would pay you day in and day out for it because of what it does for their life and what they need. We all pay for things, whether it's a mortgage or a car payment, and we feel like we're getting more value out of it than what we pay. Otherwise, we would make a different choice. So make your offers and what you do for someone so valuable that they wouldn't dream of making another decision. Okay. So you know what? Let's get into it tomorrow. We're going to talk tomorrow about how to find your perfect offer, or if you already have one, how you can make it perfect for your who. We'll catch you tomorrow. Peace out.